Hi there and welcome back to the channel. So quite a while ago now, I decided to review and rank every episode of Merlin Series 1. Well, before diving back into the world with Series 2, and yes, it is coming, I wanted to spend some more time talking about one of the best episodes of the first series, that being Excalibur. So, this episode wastes no time thrusting you into the plot. It opens with Nimue breaking into a tomb and casting some kind of spell upon a grave. Clearly up to some no good shenanigans to mess with Merlin and co. Which is such a great way to open an episode of the show. It lets the audience know immediately that something supernatural is at play and that the larger arc of the series is being continued from here. While also establishing the threat level with the primary threat scheming. It's also such a fun and dynamic way to reintroduce this villain, who of course is the main thread and background plot for the season. Continuing on with the cold open is the reveal of the Black Knight. The calmer, calculating moves from Nimue is juxtaposed by the monumental way this character smashes his way into the throne room. It's such a good, exciting incident and had me intrigued from the very first watch. I would argue this plot as the best cold open of any episode in the whole show, let alone just of Series 1. It manages to balance lore of the universe with existing visuals to capture the spectator's attention. It's straight to the point in the best possible way. I just felt like this episode utilised its opening set piece better than any other, as I said. I was just so enticed by it. Now, normally I would find something like the Knight's Code to be an annoying plot device for pushing the plot in a certain direction. It's the kind of thing that would normally relate to lazy writing, but here, it's done so effectively. In principle, the Knight's Code is a law of honour. Once a challenge is accepted by either party, there is no going back. Someone in that hand-to-hand combat is going to die. It's incredibly brutal, but equally fits the internal logic for this show. Here, it is done very well to establish the threat level of the Black Knight. Having Arthur miss the glove twice is such an excellent way to sideline him, while also building up the plot and threat level of this knight. He was able to knock down two of Camelot's finest warriors. It's such a good way of relaying that fact to the characters. Instead of some past tense exposition dump, we are witnessing all of it, which is so needed. It adds so much more weight to the plot as a result. This episode on the whole writes Uther Pendragon so well too. For the first time this series, he feels like an actual character. You sympathise with him as a father. He's really just looking out for Arthur's best interest, especially against a threat this great. And considering this episode began with a ceremony to establish Arthur as an honourable prince of Camelot, there is a lot more tension between them. This episode represents real stakes, in such a simple way, as fundamentally it puts the relationship between Arthur and Uther at the forefront and presents the significance of it. Although Arthur only sees his position within the Knights of Camelot and will do whatever to fight, whereas Uther is genuinely terrified of losing his son. For once, he doesn't feel like a one-note evil king. It's this sort of strong character writing that I wish we saw more of during the first season. It makes Uther seem real and adds more of a debate to future episodes, like whether or not Merlin should save his life down the line. While we're on the subject of Uther, I feel I should bring up this episode's revelations relating to the lore of the universe. More so than any episode thus far in the series, this gives the audience such a good insight into the world of the show. The Black Knight being a deceased relative of Arthur's mother is excellent and gives a lot of context to Uther's war against the sorcerers for the greater good of Camelot. Well, I mean that's what he believes anyway. This mysterious knight believes his work will only be done when Uther is in the ground. In essence, his war is with the monarchy and is looking to avenge his sister. Given how tightly the world building sticks to the individual narrative of this story is done really well. The incredible scenes Uther shares with Nimue does such a great job of filling in the gaps. Okay, I will be the first to admit that I wish we had a few minutes worth of flashbacks and that we were shown rather than told, as the exposition generally isn't great, but for what it was, I think it was well done and handled with care. I love the idea that Nimue and Uther used to be friends. The fact that Arthur's mother is the anchor to both of them is so fun, and her death igniting this war between them is a great catalyst. The scene they share is so interesting. You can sense the absolute disdain they have for each other over the death of Arthur's mother. It makes them feel so much more believable as antagonists and adversaries. The depth was necessary on both parts to avoid them feeling like cartoon characters. It resonates from the selfish decision from Uther to use magic to bear a son. But at the same time, it's almost like there's a mutual respect there as well, as though they're on equal planes communicating. To me, it's as though we're observing a personification of their war, while they engage to each other in conversation here. It was such a great scene, honestly. I think the sense of separation between Merlin and the Great Dragon is pushed further by the Great Dragon's rage at Uther wielding the weapon he created, which would make sense. Uther imprisoned him and has executed thousands of magical users over the years. I can understand why this dragon was so pissed off at the notion of Uther wielding his sword. It's also an intriguing character development for Merlin as he knowingly disobeyed the Great Dragon's orders and allowed this to go ahead. I guess Merlin probably weighed up the situation and understood Uther's position. It was for the greater good, even if it shatters the relationship established between Merlin and the dragon. Initially, I was hesitant to Excalibur being introduced this early into the series, given how powerful it is, but I think they handled it with care. It was a really good plot device to tell this story with and relate to so much past information. Having someone like Uther solve the plot by wielding a weapon born of magic is such a great way to wrap things up, as it paralleled to past events where he used magic for personal gain. In a similar sense, he did that here as well, even if it was unknowingly. But I would argue that if he knew the sword's true power, then he still would have wielded it if it meant Arthur and Camelot was safe from the Dark Knight. To me, this episode is very deserving of being called the best one of Series 1. It is able to tell a coherent plot, while also revealing a lot of unknown past information to the audience in an entertaining manner. It gave the most one-note character some much-needed personal development, and was even able to humanize him to some degree in my eyes. That's why I believe this to be such an incredible episode, and clearly one of, if not the best episodes of the whole show. Well, that's my thoughts anyway. What did you think of this episode? I would love to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. As always, if you enjoyed this one and would like to stay up to date, then please hit that like button and subscribe. We're getting that much closer to 2,000 subs now. As always, want to give a massive shout out to the incredible Ollie's new crew. They're like my knights at the round table, you know, in a way. Well, I have more Merlin to watch. I'll catch you all next time.